Hello, BookTube, and welcome back to the library tour of doom, an endless book tour that was Lord Ganesha's idea, not mine. We've gone from a normal library tour, which we did on this channel a few years ago, in 2019, where you go, shelf by shelf, bookcase by bookcase, in an attempt to get it over with, to a daily penguin, which we did throughout the year of 2020, to now a daily book. All the books, one book at a time, not just the ones in my library, but the ones that have passed through my library in the long caravan of my 28 years on Earth, plus all my ebooks. So it might never end, especially since there's an infinite variety. Today, we are going back only a year. We're going back to one of the best books I read in 2020 about the world of books and publishing. This is, you'll have to pardon, this is the advanced copy from Oxford University Press, but that is what the book looks like. It's A Bite of the Apple by Lenny Goodings, and it's her memoir about her decades at Virago Press, publishing and championing feminist writers for all of that time, and it's really good. It's a delight to read. I should be probably showing you the cover, shouldn't I? It's a delight to read. It's episodic, of course. It's, there's no overarching story except that when Lenny Goodings gets to the offices, originally, it is just expected by everybody involved that the ladies will take less money, first of all, and also that if the coffee in the office is getting a little cold, well, we know who will fix up a new batch, don't we? And the overarching theme is that things eventually get better, but mainly it's a book of anecdotes. Mainly it's a book of stories about being firsthand in the front row for a whole bunch of different celebratory events and dust-ups in Virago Press's long endeavor to get women writers of all types more of the respect and money that they deserve. And I went into it with a bit of trepidation because that's not an easy story to tell, right? That wasn't an easy road to travel, and could, in less skillful writing hands, yield a narrative that is more bitter than joyful, that's more recriminatory and shaming than it is celebratory, and instead you get all of the emotions in perfect balance in this thing, just perfect balance. I could have wished, as a reviewer, that it was not only longer, because boy, oh boy, do you like spending time with this author when she's telling stories. You can tell a lot of these stories have been told many, many times, and you can also tell when you're reading the book that there are a lot of other stories that could have been told. But also that it had been a little bit more theoretical. In addition to wanting to hear more of this author's conversation, more of what has to be just a bottomless trove of expertise by this point, I also wanted to hear more meta thoughts, more big picture thoughts about women in publishing, about women writing, all that sort of stuff. You get plenty of that scattered throughout here, but I would have liked it if the book had been a little more of that, but that's okay. That's perfectly okay, especially since you can't fault a book for not being the book you want it to be. It's not like the book tried to do that and failed. The book doesn't try to do that. Instead, it's mainly a professional autobiography in vignettes, and I cannot recommend it strongly enough if you're interested in the world of books and publishing, or maybe if you have a whole shelf of Virago classics in your own personal library. There was a time when I did, until I had a young friend over for wine and calzones, and she was looking at all of the books, and she said, "Oh my God, look at this shelf." And she talked about her small town, I believe in Indiana, or some such other colonial state. She talked about her small town and how she loves everyone. Virago Press used to, in addition to the biggest names they could get, they would also host lots of names that most readers had never heard of, and that are well worth reading. If you ever find at a yard sale or a used bookstore a whole box or shelf of those old green spined trade paperbacks, get them all. Because while I was reading those books all of those years and thinking, boy, oh boy, why have I not heard of this author? That was terrific. I was thinking in the back of my mind the whole time that, you know what the reason for that is? The reason for that is that this outfit has got to have a fantastic hand at the wheel. Now I know whose hand that was. Now I know why those books were so consistently enjoyable. But that young friend, she wasn't. I didn't know her that well. She came with a friend that I knew much better, and she was looking. They were looking at the bookshelves together, and I was sort of, you know, within ear distance. I was right there in the room, and that young friend, that new friend, said, "Oh, I wish I had all of these. Every once in a while, I see one at my used bookstore, but there's no turnover, and I don't see many of them. I wish I had this whole shelf." And my older friend sort of touched her arm and said, "No, no, don't say that." But it was too late. I'd already heard it, so I gave her the whole shelf. And as a result, I don't think I have any. I don't think I have any. I don't see them used that often, which is why I made a shelf of them in the first place. But if you ever do, avail yourself of them. They are tremendously good. And I can strongly recommend, along those lines, I can strongly recommend this book. As a publishing memoir, it is terrific. So that is your library tour of Doom for today. I never actually, the reason I'm showing you this thing on the back cover here is I never actually got a finished copy of this from Oxford University Press. They can sometimes be, or could, in pre-pandemic days, sometimes be very, very lax about that. You could rely on Oxford University Press to send you an advanced paperback copy far earlier than any other publisher, and you could also rely on them to forget to send you the finished copy at all. so I don't actually I've never actually held in my hand a finished copy of this book. I keep waiting, thinking, you know, someday when I'm comfortable going to retail bookstores, I'll find a copy of it, you know, in the remainder bin. I could easily see that happening at, for instance, the Harvard Bookstore across the river in Cambridge. I haven't done it. It feels like an extreme extravagance when you've got thousands of cases every month of a new disease. It seems like an extreme extravagance to go remainder hunting for a book I already have. So I don't have the finished copy to show you, but I recommend the book. As a publishing memoir, I recommend the book. So that's going to do it for today. We will see what the library tour of Doom brings us tomorrow. I'll see you then. Thank you, BookTube.